Muhamed El-Erian, he's one of the most prominent financial figures in the world. Since the start of 2021, he's made dozens of appearances on CNBC with predictions that have largely played out correctly, suggesting that inflation would continue to rage and that the market is in danger of a meltdown. Today, he made another appearance with a fresh new outlook that has everyone worried about the scenario nobody wants. In today's video, we analyze his statements and review the possibility that this market has a long way to go before bottoming out. El-Erian started with a bit of good news. As you have likely noticed, the market has rallied over the past few weeks, gaining about 10% since bottoming out on June 16th. Despite some recent bad news, the feeling in the air is that we're moving past the problems, but as Q2 earnings approach, everyone is worried. Like I've mentioned in the past, analysts have largely ignored many of the problems facing the market, and most speculate that it's finally going to appear in the earnings this time around. Basically, CEOs and top executives will be forced to admit on a transcript that things are not good. Take a listen to El-Erian explain.
It's been a heck of a week to watch, and even though there are all these bad news headlines that are out there, the markets are doing really well. NASDAQ up by more than 5%. Is this a turning point? Is this a head fake? Is it just because there's so many people who are out on vacation right now? What do you think?
Well, first, you're having a great time, so thank you for making us laugh. It's good on a Friday morning to laugh like this. Look, I think it's a combination of a relief rally and lower yields. That's what has been driving it. But the next few days, especially for the NASDAQ and on the back of the Snap results, are going to be absolutely critical. So the next few days are going to be very important in determining what happens next.
Okay, just to jump in here for a minute, what El-Erian is referring to is the string of NASDAQ earnings coming up in the next week. Tuesday, we have Microsoft, Google, and Visa reporting. Wednesday, it's Facebook, and Thursday is Apple and Amazon. Next week is it. We know for the most part, it's been the tech giants that have been keeping this market up. If they can't produce, the market, according to many analysts, is doomed. El-Erian also mentioned Snapchat, which reported yesterday, and the results were catastrophic. The stock went down 33% in after hours and finds itself down 86% since its peak. That to many is a signal for what is to come. If the giants can't produce, the S&P 500 could get a lot worse. But to make it even more difficult, the Snap earnings revealed something else about the broader market. Take a listen to El-Erian explain. But before I show you, please take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button if you're enjoying the video thus far. Now back to El-Erian.
What do you think of the Snap news? Is that indicative of much more than just issues at Snap?
Oh, yeah, because the user base increased significantly, and yet their revenues were flat. So It suggests that there's something going on in the business that is not generating revenues like it used to. And the question...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I mean, I think what you just were about to say, I think the question that all of us have is, are we seeing a significant softening in enterprise advertising? Because if we are, then that's going to impact the other names in that space.
That's what I was wondering. If they are citing increased competition, who's the increased competition? They also talked about some of the changes they made on their own platform. That's trying to figure out how much of this is self-inflicted, how much of this is the broader advertising market. What's your gut?
So I think it's broader. I mean, we're going to get the PMI data today. The PMI data that came out this morning in Europe was awful.
Right.
There are signs that the global economy is slowing in a rapid fashion, and central banks are hiking and doing QT into the slowing.
Okay, so there you have Muhamed essentially stating what we YouTubers already know. Something massive is going on in the ad business. Rates are down all over the place, and it seems like companies are cutting back left and right. I'm just one data point, but here's the truth. I'll give you a great example. In 2021, I uploaded one of my best videos ever. It received 1.4 million views, and if you're not aware, YouTubers get paid by monetized views, and we have a metric that measures that called RPM, which tells you how much money you receive per 1,000 views. This variable changes over time. On that particular video, I made over $12 RPM, and that was considered pretty normal for the finance niche back then. Now cut to 2022. I recently uploaded my most popular video ever. That one received 1.9 million views, yet the video from 2021 made almost 3 times more money. The 2022 video had an RPM of $4, 3 times less than what I was getting paid per 1,000 last year. That has been the ongoing story on YouTube. Less and less money is flowing into the AdSense program, meaning that companies are spending less and less on getting new customers. Not a good sign for the overall economy, and a terrible outlook for companies like Google and Facebook, which make a large portion of their income via ads. El-Erian doubles down on this take by saying that the problem is widespread throughout the industry and showcases the massive problems we have with the current economy. He also goes on to say that central banks are raising rates in the middle of all this, and it's kind of like a 1-2 punch. On one hand, the economy is crumbling, and to make matters worse, the Fed is raising rates aggressively. Although this will fix inflation, he worries about the long-term impact, hinting at the fact that maybe we've gone too far, pushing rates up way too late, and soon we will face the consequences of these actions by Jerome Powell. The market right now is in a weird spot. Everyone is well aware of the problems we have. They're just in this no man's land where nobody can decide just how bad this will get. Is this the next 2008, or will this be a minor recession, something we forgot like winter 2018? If these reports coming out next week show that we're indeed heading towards a strong recession, the market will undoubtedly head down even further, especially given the fact the Fed is continuing to show us that they have no problems raising the rate until the 9.1% inflation comes back down to more normal levels. El-Erian believes we have not bottomed yet despite this recent rally, and he goes back and forth with the anchor on this issue for the rest of the interview, with the anchor claiming that Muhamed is essentially a perma-bear. Take a listen.
The problem is that inflation is going to come down with growth probably going into recession, and that's not good news.
Hey, Muhamed, the next 10% in the S&P, and no one should ever answer a question like this, but the probability that the next 10% takes us up to, it's at 39.98, so it would take us up to over 4,300, 4,400 or so on the S&P. That possibility from here versus going back to the June 16th low of 36.39. What is more likely in your view as far as the next 10%? Because I can just tell you, I mean, the consensus, I'd say 90% of the people we talk to say the next move is going to be down to the 35, 36 range.
So Joe, you've got to define a time period here. Are we talking about the next couple of months? Or are we talking by the end of the year?
4,400 or 3,600? You don't need a time on that. I don't care when it is. Just what's next?
I agree with the 90% that you've cited. Look, we have played out interest rate risk. We haven't yet played out recession or credit risk, and that's going to impact equities. And
do you ever get bullish during the financial? During the pandemic, you never did get bullish. So we were already all the way back almost. You stayed too long on the bearish. You stayed too long on the bearish camp.
Go back to CNBC in April, and you'll see that that statement was incorrect, Joe.
I was there. I got so much Twitter hate mail from challenging you on those things. I can go back and find it, Muhamed. But go ahead.
So in summary, we have a massive week coming up. Tuesday is going to be the big day. Google, Microsoft, and Visa report, and this will set the tone for the others. And if Snapchat is any bit of an indicator, everyone is going to be watching those ad numbers coming out of the Alphabet earnings and those consumer spending numbers coming out of Visa. These tech giants make up around 20% of the S&P 500 and control the vast majority of the mood in the stock market. A tumble here would undoubtedly push us to new lows, well past the 3,600 mark we saw in early June. As always, thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you're enjoying the content.